What is that? Biscuits? Biscuits? Hey, biscuits!
It sucks.
Just a reminder, spoilers ahead.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of That Price, in which we watch a new release and discuss if it was worth that price. I am your host, Alex, and I have shaved and look like a dick, joined by a Lewis.
Hi.
A Lewis Johnson.
Hello.
And a Holly.
Hola.
And today's film we watched was the 2020 Witches. Originally we weren't going to watch this, because why would you want to watch a soulless remake again in 2020? But with all the controversy, why not? Let's have a look at it.
My story begins when I was a young boy.
2020's Witches follows the story of a young boy and a grandmother who go to a hotel for some reason, and whilst there, a bunch of, you guessed it, witches turn up, and they hate children. The young boy is caught by the witches and turned into a mouse for some reason, and it's up to the child and the grandmother to stop them from destroying all the children.
Why are we mouses? Mice. Whatever.
So yeah, we watched The Witches. How did everyone take to it? Like,
I'm just gonna take pills instead. Is that okay? I don't have any alcohol.
Fuck.
you alright? I will say I was kind of baffled of how soulless this all actually was, from the script not having as much charm as the book or the original film, the characters doing very confusing things, the CGI being a squibbly jizz mess on screen, and just everything about it was just shocking.
I don't think there was any craft in this movie, in any regard. Any sort of like notable craft, which pinpoint and say, well, this was alright, because it's one of those films where, like we say, you could maybe like look at the CGI and go, yeah, the CGI was decent, but you can't even do that because the CGI was god awful. Or you could go, oh, well, the main character was pretty good. No. Well, the supporting cast, no. Well, Anne Hathaway, surely, no, not really.
Well,
She is entertaining, Anne Hathaway. I will give her that much. But she's not, I wouldn't say she's good.
Just with the CG, that really stood out for me. And I was like, why have we gone so backwards with the CGI and stuff? Like, we grew up on like the live action Scooby-Doo type movies, which were like, by today's standards, awful. But then you compare it to this and it's like, no, they're amazing. How have we gone so backwards?
Or Lord of the Rings. You go back and watch Lord of the Rings now, and there's still some incredibly impressive like visual effects that this film absolutely pales in comparison to. And it's like, how?
Would you like to talk about Lord of the Rings?
I would like to, yeah, but we best not.
Why do we keep having to have CGI cats? Why? Why? It didn't even look like a cat, and it had, even if, you know what, like, fair enough, like, you can't get a cat to act or whatever, there was no use of this cat apart from the last scene where it eats the owner. It played no other role. They just wasted a ton of money on this rat, I guess. I don't really want to call it a cat, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought the same. It doesn't even resemble a cat. Or like the face or anything, or like the fur texture, nothing was right with the CGI in this film.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you guys are being way too hard on a good film.
I'm not playing devil's advocate with you on this film.
Look, I gave this film an applause, all right? And there's a million reasons why I should hate it, but I don't. Because you know why? Because I think it missed some marks, right? But I will watch it again. Not because it's good, because it's excellent. That's my honest belief. I feel like it is entertaining, but it would be more entertaining. I know it was, and I know it's It's not good at all. And it should be more entertaining. It's really missed some schlocky marks that I think it would be our audience that it would be to, you know. I don't think it's for kids. I think kids would be like, I'm going to watch Marvel. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it really missed some marks. Like, what was the point of a lot of stuff? Like, the White Rat. I thought it was going to be some bad romance stuff between her and the other rats, like some stupid love.
That's the thing, I'm glad you kind of brought it up, but like, what was the point of the white rat that he owns being human?
I'll fetch him. Did you just talk?
That was the biggest twist ever, and it hit the mark like, whoa, and then it did nothing.
I think fundamentally what makes this film bad for me is that there's nothing in the plot or the way that the sort of narrative unfolds that sort of reels you in or like keeps you going along with it. Like I don't feel like I'm sort of following a narrative and watching it unfold and seeing like revelations, and there's nothing. It's really boring.
Something that I really loved about the original movie was it had this really weird thriller horror element. It was like a nice little introduction to scary stuff for kids. It was really creepy and intense with like the Grand High Witch looking so menacing. And I always took that as, that's a good introduction to see if a kid can take a horror film, if they can take that. Whereas this, it does that, but again, with the horrible CGI, I couldn't help but be terrified of that. I was just like, oh my God, get it off. Ah, disgusting.
I think with the 1990 film, I remember watching that one as a kid, and that scene you were talking about, Alex, when they're all in that room and she's doing that speech. I remember watching that scene in the 1990 film as a kid, and it scared the out of me. And it was like the way, it's just little bits that they did that this film missed, even if it was a case between CGI and, you know, actual makeup. Like little things they miss, like slowly revealing. The way that she did it, the way that Anne Hathaway did it in the 2020 film was so like dramatic and like get everything off, and it wasn't like, whereas in the 1990 film they took it as like slow creepy moments, and it's like each bit that was revealed is a little bit more creepy. Whereas this one for me was just like a show, and it was done too fast. It wasn't done in a creepy way, and I think that's a lot of the issues within the film. There's not one scene or one moment that does capture that bit for you. You've got to remember that this is meant to, or I guess it's aimed at kids that are, you know, meant to terrify them, and I can't imagine any scenes in that would scare kids or get that kind of bit. Like, it's meant to be a monster at the end of the day, and they don't act that way at all. It's almost a comic relief type of film, I guess. I don't know.
Like, when Anne Hathaway is sniffing the stage, is there anyone actually in the world that went, whoa, that's creepy? I couldn't help but laugh at that, just be like, what is going on?
I think you said Emma Hathaway.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
it's Anne, yeah.
I respect Anne Hathaway. I'm not saying that she's in this film now.
Who's Emma Hathaway?
Something I will say though, with Anne Hathaway, I already know Holly's going to give me the eye of death and disagree with me, but I actually loved her in this because at first, yeah, I was watching it and she was doing these really silly things, and like the accent, I couldn't tell what it was meant to be. There was a bit of Russian sometimes, a bit of German, a bit of French, there was all sorts. And I went, you're an Oscar-winning actress, what are you doing? But then it came to a certain point where it's just like, she knows this is bad, right? And she's just hamming it up for the fun of it. And I like to think, I hope she was deliberately being so over the top and bad because she was just like, who cares? It's going to be a laugh.
I don't think you can say that, because there's three good actors, not in this film, but in films in general. Because you've got Stanley Tucci and Octavia, the grandma, is a really lovely actress in other films. And to a little point in this film when she was dancing to the Four Tones, I think the first song was, really made me laugh, and I felt like a little bit with her. But you can't say that it was only Anne Hathaway that was up for when you've got them other two actors as well. No one could all be in going, haha, this film. There is something there. No.
I thought the kid really shined when he wasn't there and he was just a rat, like he was voice acting.
Yeah.
I think he really did shine.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it did the facial features for him, and he just had to go, yeah, and that's all he had to do.
Yeah, this was an element that threw me because it just made me go, this kid actor sucks. Because when he wasn't a rat, he couldn't act. He didn't do much. He couldn't really say much that was like a part of his character. But the second they took him away and went, just say things, yeah, he had emotion. He had a bit of character.
I'm sorry, children.
It's not your fault, Grandma. Sometimes things just happen.
Yeah, they do.
To the point where they had to CGI a tear on his face for when his parents died. Like, he couldn't act to free, you know. I mean, I know it's difficult for any actor probably to cry on command, but when you have to put a CGI tear on someone's face, it's so clinical, it's so cold and rubbish. It's just like, they looked at that in the editing and they went, oh no, it's not. We're not being emotionally manipulative enough here. Just CGI a tear on his face, will you? And then they just CGI it on. And the whole film is treated like that.
But I want to say that the worst scene for me is the opening scene. For two reasons. Few more than two, but two main points. Number one, narration. And it just dragged. It was just the worst opening sequence I've seen to a film in a very long time, to the point where I was looking at the time going, is it only been a minute? It was so slow and droll, and I was like, what is this? What is he showing this to? Did it ever come back round to the adult version of him and who these weird kids that he was showing it to? Was there point in that? Why?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Did it? I think I gave up.
2 minutes credit into the credit.
After credits. I didn't make it to the credits.
Oh, right. Oh, you missed a big bit then. It turns out Chris, the main boy, is still a rat and he's recruiting a bunch of kids to go and kill the witches, and he was just sharing his story of why he's still a rat.
He's like an elderly looking mouse.
He's like on his deathbed.
Mouse beard. And like grey mouse hair.
Oh my god, that even sounds more stupider than the first scene. I'm glad I didn't watch it.
I think the worst scene though, I think Lewis can agree on this, is when the fat rat didn't talk and he was just eating. I'll let Lewis say this one.
Just, you know, when she takes him to meet his parents and all he has to do is speak. And as she was like taking him out the handbag, I was like, I know about films, he's not going to speak. Or something's going to stop him from speaking. They're going to come up with a contrived reason. And they didn't even come up with a fucking contrived reason for him not to speak in that moment. He just didn't speak. And I was like, oh, of course.
I wouldn't say it's a specific moment, but the lack of thought between certain scenes threw me in a weird way. Like, so Grandma tells a story about her best mate turned into a chicken, sees her turn into a chicken, and you'd think you'd be like, I'm never eating a chicken again because that could be a person. Yet 2 scenes beforehand, she's there going, I make the best chicken in all the land. And that just threw me. I'd be like, you're mental. That could be Alice.
Yeah, she definitely ate Alice. There's no matter what. She ate her.
And she didn't give no shit until she did. And there was a lot of that. There was so many scenes where it's like, it's this, and then go, no, it's not. Like, she starts coughing because the witches are around her and that's her way of knowing. And then they get to the hotel and she starts coughing again. And the kid even goes, you haven't coughed in days, Grandma. And she's like, nah,
So what, she just coughs because there's witches nearby, or did they do that to her?
No, it's when they're nearby.
Yeah, wait, what was the payoff in that?
There was no payoff for that.
I thought it was going to be like, I poisoned you because I want your child. And it wasn't even that.
No, Anne Hathaway was like, oh, you're dying, old woman, and then she doesn't die. And I was like, oh, I thought that was going to be like the sad turn of ending. Bye, Grandma.
Old grandma lady / new mum says, oh, like, the more you have it washed, the more you smell, you're gonna smell like dog poo, essentially dog doo-doo, I think she says.
Yeah.
To the kid. And then I think for the rest of the film, I was just fixated on the idea that the witches can smell nothing but dog all the time. Wondering whether Grandma's a witch too, because she got like portions and she just smelled dog constantly because she was with the kid all the time.
And she's laying there in bed with him, like, yeah, go to sleep. You smell like dog. You have to admit the symbolic messaging of yeah, you smell like dog is a good way of summing up this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why on earth would I be carrying around a mouse?
Personally, no, it was definitely not worth that price. I definitely feel robbed. Holly?
No. Please, no.
Oh, she's dead. Brother Lou.
It's worth a price, but it's not worth that much. I say £1, and that's about it.
And Lewis, you know, you love this film. I take it that you would pay for it again.
But how much have we lowered our bar? Like, you know, just as like a film going sort of, you know, populace. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. No, it's not worth that price. It's terrible.
No. Yeah, so there we have it. It is not worth that price. Please do not watch it. Like, forget it existed. It's awful. I hope you enjoyed our discussion about 2020's The Witches. Don't watch this film. I'm going to emphasize that. Do not watch this film. But you know what you should do? Watch some more of our content that we've previously done. And also maybe give us a share, like, and a subscribe. All of us do Letterboxd more regularly than anything else. So give us a look up on that. We hope to see you next time. And hopefully we'll have a good film next time for Lewis's sake.
Yeah, otherwise I quit.
Quit life. Thanks all for watching. We'll see you next time.
I really want to review a really good film.
Please.
This is getting very tiring now.